So a very good afternoon, one and all. I am Anu Bhatnagar, Webinar Executive, and I welcome you all on this session of part 4 of the session on UGC NET June 2020 Law Paper 2 analysis. So in the last few webinars, we tried to cover the questions which was based on MCQ, and also we tried to explain the detailed explanation of each and every question along with the sections which are there in that particular section, in that particular questions. So today also we'll try to sum up our webinar regarding the UGC NET Law June 2020 paper 2 analysis. So stay tuned with us with that. So as a speaker today, we have with us Arpana Sachdeva. She is an academician and associate Lawsikho. Also, if anybody would be having any query regarding the session, so we'll take that in the end of the session. Also, you can try some of the questions. As usual, I always say that whenever we pose questions, so you can answer accordingly there and there and test yourself. So, Arpana, I welcome you and let's start with our session today.
Yeah, thank you, Anu. So this is the fourth session for our 2020 June 2020 paper analysis, and we have already covered all the 9 units. And this today we will going to cover the last unit, that is comparative public law and the system of governance. And with those, we will have these 2 passages which came in this examination. So we will going to see what kind of passage was there and what were the questions asked from the passages. Secondly, there is a surprise for you guys, so I will reveal it after we are done with all the questions. So stay with us till the end of the session. So I'll just share my screen. Give me a minute. Hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes.
So today we are going to start comparative law and system of governance. This is the last unit of UGC NET paper 2. Now the question 84th and the first question for this unit is, in a parliamentary form of government, the British Convention of Ministerial Responsibility has been explicitly codified in Indian Constitution under Article 74(1), 74(2), Article 75(2), Article 75(3). So the correct option for this question is option number 4, that is 75 subclause 3. So in 75 subclause 3, it is mentioned, the Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the House of the People. So here, this provision is taken directly from the British Convention of Ministerial Responsibility. Now the next question we have here is, in the presidential form of government, the chief executive is relatively free from sectional and party disputes. B, the chief executive is free to choose his team of ministers from the best talent available. C, the team of the chief executive is not fixed. And D, it discourages the diseases of defections. So the options we have is A, B, and C are correct, A, B, D are correct, A, C, D are correct, and all are correct. So the answer to this question is option number 2, that is A, B, and D are correct, and C is not correct. So the answer, lies in the advantage of presidential system, and I have mentioned these 4 advantage of presidential system of governance. So you can just take a screenshot. I'll just explain you in a brief that there is a separation of power. Then they have expert government. Then stability is there and less influence of the party system. Now let us move quickly to the next question, that is question number 86. Read the statements about rule of law. So statement 1 is, rule of law is an important and fundamental pillar of a liberal and substantive democracy. B, the rule of law is not merely public order. The rule of law is social justice based on public order. C, the substantive rule of law is the rule of proper law which balances the need of the society and the individual. And D, we have substantive and liberal democracy is based solely on former democracy. So the options are that A, B, C, they are correct, A, C, D are correct, A, B, D are correct, and all are correct. So the answer to this question is option number 4, that all are correct for rule of law. So we all know rule of law is derived from Article 14. So this is the explanation. You can just take a screenshot to it if you need these explanation for your further references. Now let us move to the next question, question number 87. Which one of the following is mandatory minimum requirement for a functional federation? 1. State should be represented in the upper house of the national legislation. Judicial review distinguish of legislative and administrative power between the two set of governance, national and state, so as to ensure the independence of the government within the respective phases. And 4th is distinction between legislation and administrative powers between the two sets of governance, national and state, so as to ensure the independence but coordinate exercise of power of government. So the answer to this question is option number 3. That is distribution of legislative and administrative powers between the two set of governments, national and state, so as to ensure the independence of the government within the respective phases. So the federal, we all know that what is federal system, that there is two different distribution of powers between state and center, and that is called federal system. Now let us move to the next question, that is question number 88, and it is the match the following question. So we have the list 1, which talks about the provisions of Lok Adalat, and then we have sections to it. So number 1 is this definition of permanent Lok Adalat, establishment of permanent Lok Adalat, cognizance of permanent Lok Adalat, and award of permanent Lok Adalat. And list 2 says section 22B, 22C, 22E, and 22A. And we have the quotes given below. So let us look into the what is the right answer to this. The right answer to is option number 1, that is definition of permanent Lok Adalat is given under section 22B. Establishment of permanent Lok Adalat is given under 22A. Then we have cognizance of permanent Lok Adalat, that is given in section 22E. And award of permanent Lok Adalat is mentioned in the section 22C. Now let us move to next question, question number 89. Now, this is that under Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, the term equal protection of law has been taken from American Constitution, British Constitution, Australian Constitution, or Canadian Constitution. So the correct option is option number 1, that we have taken this article, the Article 14, the idea of Article 14 is taken from American Constitution. So it says that equal protection for law, it provides the provision has been taken from the Constitution of America. Okay. So now let us move to the next question, that is question number 90. So this is also one of the question, which is say arrange in chronological order. So we have seen that in all the 10 units, we have this question of chronology. So at least 10 questions were there for chronology. So it is where, it become a very important part of our preparation, that we should have a list of cases in a chronological order. We should know the exact year of those cases, and the for jurisprudence, as we all know, the books when they were published of the eminent jurists. So let us see question number 90 here. So this is arranged in chronological order the cases related to US Constitution amendments. So this is Plessy versus Ferguson. Then we have B, have K versus Smith. C, Lesser versus Grante. Then D, US versus Speckway. Sorry. So the options here are A, B, C, D, A, C, B, D, B, C, D, A, D, B, C, A. So the correct option is option number 1, that A, B, C, and D. So this was a very easy, the options were given exactly same than in the chronology only, because this is kind of a difficult question, because we can remember the cases of Indian Constitution, but they have asked the cases of American Constitution. So this was the last question for this unit. So there were very less questions from this unit, but of course this unit is very important. So now let us look into the passages which came. There were 2 passages which came, and there were 5 questions from each passage. So there were 10 questions from passages. So the first passage. So I'll just quickly read the passage. Passage number 1. The right to life and life with dignity has been recognized as a human right on the international front and by the number of president of this court, and therefore the constitutional court must serve to protect the dignity of every individual, for without the right of dignity every other right would be rendered meaningless. Dignity is an inescapable facts for every individual that innovates reciprocate respect from other to every aspect of an individual which he or she perceives as an essential aptitude of his or her individuality, be it an orientation or an operational expression of choice. The Constitution has lended the judiciary with the very important duty to protect and ensure the right to every individual, including the right to express and to choose without any implements, so as to enable any individual to fully realize his or her fundamental rights to live with dignity. Sexual orientation is one of the many biological phenomena which is natural and inherent in any individual and in controlled by the neurological and biological factors. The science of sexuality has theorized that an individual exerts little or no control over who or she get attracted to. Any discrimination on the basis of one's sexual orientation would entails a violation of fundamental right of freedom of expression. So I guess by looking this passage, I guess you have already realized that what case this passage relate to. So let us look into the questions which were there. Discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation is violation of which of the fundamental rights? Article 21 only, Article 14 and 15 only, Article 15, 19 only, and Article 14, 15, 19, and 21. So the correct option is option number 4. The discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation is violation of Article 14, 15, 14, 15, 19, and 21. And as we know, the last paragraph itself says this thing, that if we discriminate any person on his social orientation, then that is a exploitation of his fundamental rights. Now, next question is question number 93, which says, which one of the following judges were part of the judgment referred in the paragraph? Justice Deepak Mishra, Justice R.F. Nariman, Dr. Y. Chandrachud, and Justice Indu Malhotra. So the correct option is option number 1, that is Justice Deepak Mishra. So in this was a case, I know, 𝗨𝗚𝘗 𝗡𝗃𝗧 versus Union of India, and there were 5 judges: Deepak Mishra, Justice 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 Nariman, Justice A.M. Khandalwal, Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, and lastly, Justice Indu Malhotra. Now, next question is, the fundamental right of freedom of expression is coined in the following article in Indian Constitution, that is Article 19 subclause 1A, Article 19(1)(f), Article 18(1), or Article 21. So the correct option is option number 1, that is Article 19(1)(a). Next question is, the above paragraph refer to judgment in the case of 𝗨𝗚𝘗 𝗡𝗃𝗧 versus Union of India, Machi Singh versus State of Punjab, State of UP versus Ram Saroop, Chairman Railway Board versus Chandrima Das. So the correct option we already know, that is option number 1, 𝗨𝗚𝘗 𝗡𝗃𝗧 versus Union of India. So these were the question asked from passage number 1. Now let us look into passage number 2. So passage number 2, I'll just read the passage 2. The state of Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand has not coordinated with the central government to constitute a Ganga Management Board. The Uttarakhand High Court, in the exercise of present parties jurisdiction, ordered conventions of Ganga and Yamuna River as juristic legal person, living entity having the status of legal person. The right of Ganga and Yamuna has thus legal person with the corresponding right of living person. The director of NAMI Ganga, the Chief Secretary, and the Advocate General of Uttarakhand State were declared a person in loco practice. The decision of the bench of Uttarakhand High Court sparely betrayed the state, terming their non-corporation as the sign of non-governance. The deterioration of the Ganga and Yamuna in the classic case of desperate measures, the court granted the justice entity at the part with the Hindu idols. The Uttarakhand High Court, in other cases, retained the constitution of the Ganga Management Board has become all more necessary for the purpose of irrigation, water supply, hydropower, and navigation. So the questions for this passage are: Hindu idol is a juristic entity capable of holding property, was laid down in Bengal Immunity Corporation Limited versus State of Bihar, Yojindranath Narayan versus Commissioner of Income Tax, 𝘗𝗏𝘁 versus Chawla, and lastly Nakul Chandra versus State of UP. So the correct option for this is option number 2, that is Yogyendranath Naskar versus Commissioner of Income Tax. So the next question for this passage is: the Uttarakhand High Court, in another case relating the constitution navigation as a quantum in the paragraph, refer to which one of the following cases? Mohammad Salim versus State of Uttarakhand, Yojindranath versus Commissioner of Income Tax, Ram Janki versus State of Bihar, MC Mehta versus Kamal Nath. So the correct option is option number 1, that is Mohammad Salim versus State of Uttarakhand. Now let us move to the next question, that the term loco parentis refers to an equal fault and place of parent, hazard period, or indigate suit. So the correct option is option number 2, that is in place of parent. So it is a Latin term which means that in the place of parent. Now, this is the second last question for the whole session. This is the term parents practice refers to common suit from parent of his or her own country or state or barred by a res judicata. So the correct option is option number 3, that is parent of his or her own country or state. So it is also a Latin term which means parent of the nation. Now, this is the last question. The division bench of Uttarakhand High Court is sharply berated non-governance was observed in which of the following cases? Indian Council for Enviro Legal Action versus Union of India, Rural Legislation versus State of Uttarakhand, Divya Pharmacy versus Union of India, and lastly, 𝗨𝗚𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗔𝗍𝗍 versus 𝗨𝗚𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗔𝗍𝗍 versus Union of India, State of Uttarakhand. So the correct option is option number 4. So this was all about our questions. So we have covered all 100 questions from UGC NET June 2020 with their explanations. So let us quickly analyze. So what are the questions which were there? So from unit 1, jurisprudence, there were 6 questions. From unit 2, constitution and administrative law, there were 12 questions. Then for unit 3, public international law and IHL, there were 10 questions. Then for unit 4, law of crimes, there were 10 questions. Unit 5, law of torts and consumer protection, there were 8 questions. Then unit 6, commercial law, there were 13 questions. Then unit 7, family law, 10 questions. Unit 8, environment and human rights law, 7 questions. And unit 9, intellectual property rights and information technology law, there were 7 questions. And lastly, the comparative public law system of governance, there were 7 questions. And we had 2 passages. Passage 1 had 5 questions, which was related to constitutional law and law of crimes. And then passage 2, that was related to constitutional law and environmental law. Now, the surprise which I was talking about was that at Lawsikho, we have launched a course on UGC NET for paper 1 and 2, and only for law, that is. And these are the features which we give in this paper, this course, that we give you paper analysis, that which we have done over here, that how many questions from which subjects, and what are the topics which are being covered. So if you could see that I had mentioned in the answer slide below the options that which topic the questions belong to. So the whole detailed paper analysis has been given to you, and this paper analysis is based on past year questions, at least past 10 years questions. Then you are provided with notes, videos, and MCQs on all the 20 subjects, including paper 1 and paper 2. And all the MCQs which are being asked from all the topics, whatever the topics that for all the subjects. So all the topics having the MCQ, and these MCQ have the explanations to it, just as I had shown you in the slides. Then you have mocks, which are based on past year question papers from 2008 to 2020, and these are based on past year question paper, and you also have the explanations to all the questions of those past year question papers from 2008 to 2020. So you will get the explanation to all the questions. Then you have a weekly syllabus which you have to follow to clear your exam, so that you can cover all the topics in a systematic way. And then you have a weekly test every Sunday. You have a weekly test. So whatever you have covered in the timetable, according to timetable in that week, that has been evaluated by that weekly test on Sunday. Then we have a live practice session. These practice sessions are 2 or 3 in a week. Nowadays 3 are been running. So we give you a live session for how to crack any question from whichever subject we are dealing with. Right now we are dealing in mathematics and logical reasoning. And then we have a chronological list of cases and books of eminent jurists. So which is very important, as you know, that 10 questions are chronological. That means 20 questions are being asked. Sorry, that means 20 marks are there on chronological list itself. So if you are thorough with these lists, if you have those lists with you, because if you will make those lists, it will going to waste a lot of time. So if you have those lists ready in your hand, so you will going to score at your 20 marks will be secured. Then we have personal guidance on WhatsApp call, messages, or by call, whichever the student is comfortable with. Then we have latest case law analysis, as we have seen that the latest case laws has been asked in the form of passages. So you should know about the latest case laws which are there. So we have latest case laws analysis too. And lastly, we have daily news and review. So we have a whole day review, that whatever is happening in the country, you should be aware of those things too. So as you know, these things help us for paper 1, the daily news analysis for unit 9 and unit 10. So this was all about our course. So if you have any query about the course or anything about the question paper, so you can just ask me. I'll just stop sharing. Yes.
Right.
So
Yes, this was amazing session, and as we have summed up all the questions, so we have a participant. Yes, if anybody is having any questions, so they can quickly ask. And if anybody is interested in taking the course, so they can visit our website for the same. You will find all the details regarding the course on the website itself. So, Arpana, I believe we do not have any questions, and people have understood, and whosoever will be interested, they will definitely enroll for the course. So now I think we should sign off, and thank you, Arpana, for conducting such a 4 days NB session with our participants. So that was amazing, and we have tried to cover all the relevant questions. So I hope that will be very useful for our participants. And we'll definitely come up with such a wonderful webinars in our upcoming session. So stay tuned with us regarding that. So now I'll sign off, and thank you participants for joining, and thank you Arpana for joining this session. Stay home, stay safe. Now I'll sign off. Webinar Executive Anu Bhatnagar. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Anu.